How to become indispensable. According to Machiavelli, they sold you a lie. Since childhood, you were trained to believe in a code that sounds noble, but in the real world becomes a lethal trap for anyone who aspires to power. Be nice, work hard, show up on time, keep your word, be loyal, always give more than you get. It was presented as a guaranteed formula. Behave, do the right thing, and the world will eventually reward you. That story domesticates potential threats. It keeps you predictable, manageable, safe for the system. The truth is brutal. What makes you likable rarely makes you powerful. Kindness without strategy decays into servitude. Hard work without leverage turns you into a replaceable cog. Always keep your word, even against your own interests, isn't virtue. It's exploitable weakness. Machiavelli would say it plainly. Confusing virtue with strategy turns you into someone else's pawn. In the game of power, there are only two kinds of people, those who receive attention and those who receive control. The first group gets applause, cameras, and headlines, actors on the stage. The second group rarely stands under the lights. They don't need applause because their power does not depend on approval. They direct the scene, what is shown, when, and with whom. If you think attention equals power, you've already lost. Real power isn't shouting louder. It's moving others to your rhythm without them noticing. Real power is an absence that creates a void no one can ignore, a presence so quiet it becomes the invisible center holding everything together. If you vanish tomorrow and the system runs the same, you're not valuable, you're replaceable. And the replaceable are always at risk of being replaced. So if you want durable power, not trend power, but gravity that binds people to your orbit, you don't need to be brilliant, charismatic, or nice. You need to be necessary, so necessary that moving away from you feels like a risk, a permanent loss. Let your absence be measured not in nostalgia, but in disorder. Here is the first key. Likability is cheap. Necessity is priceless. Kindness is abundant. Necessity is scarce. And what's scarce gets protected even by those who dislike you. Your enemies can need you too, and that is the safest position of all when their logic of survival forces them to guard you. But reaching that position isn't luck, it's architecture. It starts with a disturbing question. What can I do that they cannot replace? The answer is never obvious, never what a tutorial or a quick call can copy. It lives in time, context, and a unique combination of factors only you hold. Compound value, not a single skill. Society will push you toward the approval game. Praise, certificates, awards, badges that sound like validation but don't translate into power. That is the game of visibility without leverage, where many die. They believe more exposure makes them harder to replace, but mass exposure without control just paints a bigger target on your back. Attention makes you visible. Necessity makes you untouchable. Machiavelli understood this centuries before social media. If you must choose between being loved or being needed, choose being needed. Love is fickle, need is structural. Love evaporates with rumor or mood. Need, well constructed, forces even enemies to guarantee your permanence. Be careful. Necessity isn't declared. It's demonstrated. Silently. Don't demand recognition. Let the system acclimate to your presence until it runs naturally with you and stutters without you. Loud dependence becomes uncomfortable. Silent dependence becomes instinct. Erase the idea that value equals visibility. Real power lives off stage. Be the architect, not the actor. The actor is exposed to judgment and exhaustion. The architect decides when the curtain falls. The first step is simple to say, hard to execute. Stop competing to be liked. Start building to be indispensable. Let others chase applause and credit. You chase control, engineered so no one can imagine a stable future without you. Lay the first brick of dependency, a trap woven patiently, until attacks stop seeing you and see only the cost of removing you. Most people fail because they enter the board without knowing the real rules. They chase approval and mistake it for control. They count likes, smiles, and kind words, while quieter players build the structures that decide where those people stand tomorrow. The game isn't about who pleases more. It's about who is hardest to replace. Pleasers become actors in an endless race, sanding down every edge to avoid offense. And the day someone else can smile the same smile, their value disappears. Machiavelli, with surgical precision, preferred being feared to being loved if he had to choose. Not because fear is noble, but because it's more stable. Yet there's something more elegant than fear: dependency. Fear binds while you're present. Dependency binds even when you're away. And the finest path to build it is not threats, but stability you provide. To become dangerously valuable, be the silent axis of a system. Hold an ability, insight, or influence not replaceable without heavy cost. Then manage it like strategic capital. Give too much, and it dilutes. Hide it completely, and you become irrelevant. The balance is to deliver enough to make your impact undeniable, never enough to make yourself dispensable. Maintain a margin of mystery about the true extent of your value. Let them almost understand you, but never fully. They'll replicate pieces, but something will always be missing. That gap becomes the invisible knot that binds them. Modern life perfects recognition as control. It sells seen equals influential, and millions spend time, energy, and reputation for drops of approval. They publish, pose, make noise, teaching the world that their value can be bought with attention, and what can be bought cheaply gets replaced. The builder in the shadows invests in structural capital. They aren't everywhere. They are at key junctions that hold everything. Remove them and the system creaks. The second fatal error is trying to force your value by proclaiming it. If your absence leaves no void, your words mean nothing. Respect here is not demanded, it's induced. Need isn't shouted, it's cultivated until it becomes reflex. Don't waste energy arguing with critics. Reinforce immovable points of your influence. Don't persuade. Build so reality persuades for you. The visible want attention, the powerful want leverage. Attention is volatile, leverage is cumulative. Trends replace exposure, position outlasts storms. So don't fight to be liked, fight to be needed. When someone needs you, they will tolerate your flaws, justify your silences, even defend your absence. When they only like you, they replace you when something easier appears. Shift your analysis. Where can you anchor yourself in structures? What problem can you solve that they don't even know they have? What system can you master so no one can imagine it without you? What rare combination of skills can you develop that nobody offers in one package? That shift pulls you out of the wrong game and into the real one, where applause or criticism don't matter, because your permanence doesn't ride on emotions. It rides on the tremor your exit causes, and that call to bring you back isn't earned with smiles. It's earned with quiet leverage. Now the invisible trap. No one likes admitting they depend on another. Visible traps feel threatening. Invisible traps become habits, and habits are almost unbreakable. Practice Machiavellian engineering. Solve problems so naturally the order feels self-born. Your intervention should look like the world fixing itself. No accusations of manipulation, no obvious strings. They'll believe their results are their merit, until you're gone. Then hairline cracks appear. Small delays, minor errors, vague confusion, spreading like a fracture in glass. You won't need a word. They'll remember your value not as useful, but as essential. Anchor your value to stability. Humans fear losing stability more than money, reputation, even affection. If your name equals stability, your value embeds at the core of their psychological safety. Threaten that equilibrium, and they'll do whatever it takes to restore it, including restoring you. But give away the whole formula, and you become replaceable. The trap requires a balance between what you give and what you withhold. Deliver enough to lift the system. Keep the critical key only you manage. The ghost ingredient that turns your presence into collapse insurance. be the solution to problems they didn't know existed. Fixing obvious crises invites comparisons. Fixing the hidden variables makes your value felt without being seen. In teams, let others hold the credit while you quietly tune the mechanism. In relationships, don't sermonize. Make life flow. The day you're absent, unease rises. They can't say why. That's the mechanism of missing a habit. They can't name the string, but they feel the pull. Now, the controlled absence. Leaving completely forces them to seek substitutes. Leaving in measured doses breeds dependency. Close the faucet partially. Less flow, less comfort. Not enough to walk away. You want unease, not panic. Questions, not revolt. When people compare before you and after you, you've already won. Machiavelli didn't speak of socials and corporate life, but he knew this timeless point. The safest power isn't perceived as power. If you appear indispensable, they'll try to replace you. If you feel natural, part of the landscape, they won't even know where to cut to free themselves. Don't forge chains, design habits. Let them feel that without you, something essential leaks. Next, the silent emotional debt. Most who help want a thank you, public credit, a smile. That hunger for confirmation is human and a leverage killer. The moment your help becomes a clear transaction, it can be settled. Say, you owe me, and they'll eventually pay and forget. Machiavelli would never waste a favor like that. The most powerful debt is tacit, never named. It corrodes gently, it lives. You helped when it mattered, without asking, without reminding. The less effort it seems to cost you, the more daunting the thought. If that was easy for them, what else could they do if they wanted? The human mind seeks closure. A silent favor never closes. It becomes story fuel in the debtor's head, a story of owing they tell themselves. Let the debt mature. A single visible rescue is forgettable. A pattern of quiet interventions becomes a climate. They no longer recall when it started. They only know it's there. That creates not eternal gratitude, but loyalty laced with guilt. And guilt is endurance grade. Fear can be met with courage. Guilt seeks justification. Most easily by remaining loyal. Master the calculated retreat. After helping, step back just enough for the void to be felt. Not so far they rewire life without you. Too close and your value normalizes. Too far and the debt cools. This silent debt is also a shield. Those who feel it won't attack first. They may never defend you loudly, but their silence when others attack can be worth more than 1,000 words against you. Never mention the debt. The most effective debt is the one they narrate to themselves, again and again. That's when the invisible trap roots emotionally. You're no longer a problem solver. You're part of their origin story. To destroy you would be to admit they'd have survived without you. Ego would rather owe than face late independence. Now control the rules without being seen controlling them. People think power is giving or taking visible resources. Money, information, time, favors. Useful, yes. But above all sits the rule set. If you play by someone else's rules, your resources don't matter. Change the frame and you don't need to shout. But if they notice you bent the rules, they'll resist. Therefore, don't impose, design. He who designs the frame owns the conversation, the relationship, the outcome. Start small, control time. Don't answer instantly unless it's strategic. A calm delay trains others to your rhythm. Soon, their planning assumes your cadence. Next, control access. Don't always be available. Don't always say yes. Abundance kills value. Scarcity multiplies it. Let them try without you. Let them feel the contrast. Then condition your help, never identical twice. Ask for a detail one day. Pose a question the next. Require a minor step beforehand. They will walk your path by habit. It's operant conditioning. Certainty in your value, uncertainty in your availability and process. Too much certainty breeds rebellion. Too much uncertainty breeds abandonment. Balance creates obedience without orders. People revolt against commands, but submit to habits they adopted themselves. Every interaction should hide asymmetry. If they believe speed matters, you master waiting. If they anchor in emotional trust, you anchor in information. If they worship effort, you control the tool that reduces effort and make them believe the rules are theirs. When they verbalize your pattern, he always replies later, "I'll wait." They legitimize it. Your influence decouples from presence. You become a protocol in their mind, and people rarely fight their own protocols. Open control breeds resistance. Invisible control breeds loyalty. In the first, they fight you. In the second, they'd have to fight themselves. Now hope, more durable than fear or guilt. Fear holds people while the threat is present. Guilt holds while the balance feels unsettled. Hope anchors even when they could walk away because hope lives ahead. Control hope by positioning yourself as the key to their next level, the bridge from present to ideal, wealth, recognition, influence, stability, love, whatever they crave tied to you. Never deliver everything at once. Hope is dosed like a slow poison, small, strategic increments. Show a glimpse, a partial win, a clear but incomplete improvement. Let them taste progress while needing more to reach the final state. Complete delivery kills desire. Desire fuels dependency. Offer opportunity with invisible limits, enough to improve life, never enough to free them. Keep the door ajar. They're always about to cross it with your hand. The most seductive prison is self-built. They will defend the system that binds them because they believe breaking it kills their future. Speak less to fear, more to desire. Desire seduces. Seduction bonds. Be precise enough to move them, vague enough for their imagination to fill the gaps. Their fantasy outmuscles any promise. Let advances feel like your influence, but results like their responsibility. Then ego becomes your ally. They protect you to protect who they think they'll become with you. Don't net a single prey, weave a web. Concentrated dependency is fragile. If one node strengthens or vanishes, your power thins. Build a network, information access, problem solving, process control, conflict mediation, opportunity creation. Be the connector across departments, circles, resources. Remove one thread and tension redistributes. The structure holds. In companies, don't merely excel, bridge silos. Over time, no one remembers how they worked without your channel. Remove you and they lose productivity and connection. Socially, be the quiet mediator, the keeper of moments. Remove you and the group fractures. One-to-one, diversify your value, not just emotional support or material resource, both. Replacing you would require several people, rarely feasible. Interconnect dependencies, so each help traces back to you. Machiavelli would see this as armoring. A mesh of interlocks converts influence into infrastructure. People don't bulldoze bridges that carry every important route. Next level, integrate into identity. Functional dependency is strong. Existential dependency is unbreakable. Here your value fuses with who they believe they are. People defend identity harder than any resource. Find the crack, a core insecurity or hunger, irrelevance, abandonment, incompetence, lack of control, or the desire to feel special, seen, admired, safe. Cover the crack with something only you consistently provide. Opportunities, unwavering presence, exclusive knowledge, precise validation. Over time they feel whole near you. Then attacks on you feel like attacks on themselves. You become not a resource, but a mirror. If the mirror breaks, they face a version of self they dread. They will justify your absences, excuse your errors, defend your legacy, not because they owe you, but because protecting you protects their self-story. Never say, "You're better because of me." Let them keep autonomy's illusion. It comforts them and binds them deeper. Finally, become a myth. The common error after real power is staying too long. Presence kills mystery. Mystery fuels magnetism. Constant presence turns you into furniture, useful, not special. Strategic withdrawal is the last move. Leave at your peak, not after fatigue or loss. Depart at maximum altitude. Your image freezes at its best. The mind polishes memory. Nostalgia inflates it. Those who follow will compete against your legend, and legends always win. Leave symbols, phrases, methods, gestures, problem-solving signatures. As others repeat them, your presence breathes through the system. Scarcity multiplies myth, memories become rare coin, people defend your story to defend their own status in it. Never shut the door completely. A myth with a possible return is addictive. A single, ambiguous line, maybe someday, keeps your name alive in crises. Don't narrate your myth. Let others do it. Imagination serves you better than facts. An absent myth can't age, can't err. You keep winning battles you no longer fight. And then, the architect's detachment. You've woven the web, embedded yourself in structure, identity, and future, and exited at the summit. The last test: don't become prisoner of your own creation. Control's praise becomes addictive. Strategists become captives of the mechanism they built. Remember your aim, not to be the visible center, but the invisible designer. If the system needs constant intervention, it's not a system. It's a show, and shows end. Real power sustains without you, because you configured it so. Leaving when you could stay separates players from masters. Players maximize presence. Masters maximize control without attachment. Be willing to let the machine run, even if it costs you immediate pleasures, direct recognition, explicit gratitude, the daily thrill of being needed. This detachment shields you from overexposure. Familiarity erodes value, and from emotional capture, needing to be needed, ruins judgment. The final proof of power is mobility. While others are anchored to a single place or network, you can move, seed, and scale new architectures. An architect attached to their first work is limited by it. The detached build empires. Machiavelli would see this detachment not as renunciation, but as the supreme act of control. By leaving on your terms, you keep the narrative, you decide when and how the chapter closes, and that control of the ending ensures your legacy is remembered on your terms, not theirs. The ultimate act is to not need what everyone else pursues: approval, permanence, visibility. Your security lies in knowing your influence endures without you. And here is the paradox. The less you cling to being the center, the harder you are to remove. Those who don't depend on attention, validation, or even position are unassailable. They can take your stage, not your script, erase your name, not your structure, replace your face, not the system still breathing under their feet. That is final power when they need you. But you don't need them. When your work lives without you, and you can create another at will. When your absence is more feared than your presence, and you choose when to provoke it. When even oblivion works in your favor, because every attempt to replace you only proves there is no substitute. This is the architect's detachment, not retreat from weakness, but retreat by choice. Not fleeing the stage, but turning off the lights, knowing the audience will talk about the work long after you've left. And when you arrive here, you grasp the most uncomfortable and liberating truth. Absolute power is not that everyone obeys you. It's that they follow your rules even when they no longer know those rules were yours. Roche sauvage. Doesn't speak to everyone. Only to those who feel.